Every year, Forbes magazine releases a list of America's biggest givers. And in 2023, these 25 individuals or pairs made the list. It includes people like Google co-founder Sergey Brin and Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan. These are the piles of money Forbes reported each of them has given away. Collectively, a whopping $196 billion of lifetime giving. That's bigger than the GDP of most countries. This giant pile of money has done a lot of good, but it's hiding a more complicated and problematic story of billionaire philanthropy in America. We'll show you how. The Forbes list ranks the biggest givers by how much they've given over a lifetime, biggest to smallest. And they only measure dollars given to charitable recipients. That means it excludes money parked in a foundation. We'll get back to that. And money pledged but not paid out. You'll see here that Warren Buffett and Bill and Melinda French Gates are standouts. This chart we're making measures the giver's current net worth. Adding their philanthropic giving to that, we came up with the percentage of their net worth they've given away. So Forbes puts Buffett's current net worth at $106 billion, and he's given away $51.5 billion in his life, which puts him at 33%. Bill and Melinda French Gates, who are divorced but still do philanthropic work together, have a collective net worth of $109 billion and have given $38.4 billion away. Most of this group's donations go to poverty and public health around the world and education in the US. And together, Buffett and the Gateses created the Giving Pledge, a promise by the world's wealthiest individuals and families to dedicate a majority of their wealth to charitable causes. That's over 50%. They're almost there, but not quite. These 13 givers have signed it too, including Facebook co-founder Dustin Moskovitz and his wife Carrie Tuna, Jeff Bezos' ex-wife Mackenzie Scott, and Michael Bloomberg. The other signatories fall around here. Only 2 of them have made it over the 50% line. The banker T. Denny Sanford has given 53% of his net worth away. And Duty Free Shoppers founder Chuck Feeney, almost every last penny of his fortune. George Soros hasn't signed the Giving Pledge, but he belongs here too. He's given 73% of his wealth away. The eBay founder and his wife go here, and everyone else on the Forbes list falls roughly in this area. Over the course of their lives, they've given 12% or less of their net worth away. In the least flattering zone of the chart, the highest net worth, but the lowest proportion of it given away, is Jeff Bezos. The founder of Amazon is the richest person on this chart. His $117 billion net worth dwarfs his $2.7 billion of
This is such a funny argument because, what do we think? Like, Warren Buffett's a good guy then? Like, the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, they're all fucking demons, dog. They all suck. Like, only compared to his peers? I mean, but like, who cares? It's all for PR anyway. These guys are literally only doing it for PR. They have so much money that this is like a drop in the bucket for them to get PR. Like, everything that my haters think I do with respect to like charity, which they ironically used to yell at me for not even publicizing deliberately because I didn't want it to come across like I was fucking doing it for PR. These guys actually are doing for PR. And unlike myself, they literally have institutional power. They are controlling global governments, okay? Well, it's more global governments are created at the behest of maintaining the profit margins of billionaires, so they just kind of take advantage of that situation and maybe add their seasoning here and there when they deem it necessary, right? Like, yeah, they also utilize their foundations for not just PR, but also like manipulating policy. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just fucking yes.
philanthropic giving.
Tax
It's only
avoidance and good
2.3% of his wealth over his lifetime. For context, that's about as much as what Americans on average consistently give as a proportion of their disposable income per year, about 2%. Bezos' money has gone to various causes, like fighting climate change, education. He even gave $100 million directly to Dolly Parton.
Bezos' philanthropic reputation at this point is kind of that he...
Yeah, someone was saying, do not Google Oxford vaccine Bill Gates. Yeah, that's true. Bill Gates interfered with the Oxford vaccine being free and convinced them to sell it to AstraZeneca on a closed patent, which is, delusional and awful beyond belief. I do remember I did actually talk about that at the time. Just a fucking absolute freak, dude. Like, what a psychotic freak. Meanwhile, then you have idiots like Russell Brand being like, oh, mate, these fucking big pharma, they want everyone to take the death vaccine. It's like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? The death vaccine? Homie, these guys are trying to make money off of it, but like in the normal world, these vaccines should be fucking free. You know what I mean? They should be free. It is ridiculous that like these publicly funded research-backed ass fucking vaccines are unironically being sold for profit in any capacity. But the reality is, even if they were free, these guys who hate vaccines would still turn around and say, it's unacceptable. These vaccines are killing us. They shouldn't give it to you at all. I don't want fucking needles.
He doesn't have one. It's kind of hazy, is what a lot of experts have told me.
That's Wizzy Kim, a senior reporter for Vox who covers billionaires.
A lot of people speculate that that's one of the reasons he's made this recent announcement of, I'm eventually going to give my net worth away. There was a lot of pushback, a lot of speculation around, hey, Jeff, why aren't you more involved in philanthropy?
This chart helps us see who the real standout givers are. Those who give most of their wealth away, and those who hold on to their enormous fortunes.
Even if a certain...
I mean, they're all bad. Like, all of these guys have accumulated these immense, like, world-changing amounts of wealth off of abusing their workforce, okay? Every single one of them has extracted surplus labor value from hundreds of thousands, not fucking, in some instances, millions of people, okay? The idea that, like, some of them are better than others because they give more of their percentage of wealth is a silly one, when the main point of contention should be hyper-focusing on their relations to the means of production rather than how much money they turn around and give back to charities. Like, if you're so fucking charitable, how about you give larger profit, give back a larger percentage of the profits to your workforce and then actually pay a fair share in taxes instead of fucking turning around and advocating every step of the way to cut taxes for yourself and your corporation. Like, that's it. If wealthy people were magnanimous, truly, okay, then they would be paying their workers more. They wouldn't be having Amazon distribution facilities where ambulances stay outside instead of paying the additional costs for AC inside of the facility. Because, hey, if you pass away or you pass out from heat stroke, it's much cheaper for the company to just ship your ass over to the fucking nearest hospital via ambulance. That's it. This argument is ridiculous. But the problem isn't billionaires as individuals, but rather the system that allows them to do so. Don't lose focus on the real problem. Of course. Of course. Of course. The system is designed to create people like this. If it wasn't Bill Gates, if it wasn't Jeff Bezos, it'd be someone else. But these guys do have an awesome amount of power, an awesome, unimaginable amount of power. So they themselves are technically a little responsible here. I don't think you can lump Gates in with Bezos. Software doesn't have sweat shop warehouse factory conditions. Yeah. But Bill Gates is a scumbag in his own way. For his rigorous controls over patents. And even then, they manufacture hardware too. So yes, they still use like awful labor conditions and awful warehouse factory conditions as well. You wouldn't say this if you were a billionaire? Yeah, I probably wouldn't say this if I was a billionaire. Do you want to know why? Because if I was a billionaire, that would mean that I have like completely lost interest in any of the genuinely held beliefs that I have currently, because I am a firm believer that like unless you're a fucking athlete, power.
Certain individual is very generous. If overall this class of people just keeps amassing more and more money, we've got to look at ourselves and ask, okay, what are we doing wrong here and how do we reverse this?
All this money creates what the Institute for Policy Studies has called top-heavy philanthropy, where individual wealthy donors make up a large portion of charitable giving. Since 2011, mega gifts of $1 million or more from single donors have been growing.
If you are a relatively small institution that receives funding from a very large philanthropist, they take their money away, you are in trouble.
This chart breaks down charitable tax deductions by household income.
I don't think he has the power you think he has, but you're correct. He's simply extracting value because the system is designed for him. He doesn't have to fucking manipulate the Democratic and the Republican Party all too much for them to decide not to give more benefits and more attention to the fucking labor unions. But you're out of your mind delusional if you think that he doesn't have like, you know, system changing power. He just doesn't have enough power as an individual, as one guy. Warren Buffett can't turn around tomorrow and be like, I am going to fund revolutionary armed insurrection, okay, in the third world to ensure that the countries where there is most revolutionary potential end up emancipating themselves from the bloodshed that they constantly have to endure at the behest of the American empire, okay? He can't do that. I mean, he has a lot of money. He could try, but he would get executed like in literally 3.5 seconds. He also doesn't have enough money or enough influence to overwrite hundreds of years of capitalist development. Even Warren Buffett is not that wealthy. Isn't that what happened in Panama? No, Panama was our guy. That's not. What do you think? The invasion of Panama was what? You think that was an anti-capitalist action? Is that what you think? Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that a 19-year-old garbage man in the UK won nearly 10 million pounds and blew it all through a decade on partying. Now he's a garbage man again. They called him the king of chavs. I think he did it the cool way. I respect that. Fuck yeah, mate. I think they're trolling you, lol. Like, the system is designed for Warren Buffett in such a way that it runs on autopilot. And yet that's still not enough. They still go for additional, they still create additional hurdles in the way of like minor, meaningless fucking labor protections. Like, they already have all the advantages. The system is created so that they can accumulate that level of wealth, and they have accumulated that level of wealth. He could try and be ethical. Warren Buffett has a mobile home property company and he increased the rent. He doesn't care. That's not even ethical at that point. Yeah, he's a fucking landlord. He's a mega landlord for the poorest of the poor. Of course he's going to fucking increase rent. There is no ethical mode of production there. You did not miss the Murdoch coverage. I will do it tomorrow.
Income level since the early 90s. Nonprofits used to rely on the broad support of the population. In 1993, 77% of charitable deductions were taken by households making less than $200,000. Today, that chart has almost flipped. Households making more than $1 million were taking the most charitable deductions.
So just a handful of people are deciding what merits philanthropic money and how these causes should be solved.
Ultra-wealthy donors tend to give to different causes than the rest of us. An analysis of the Chronicle of Philanthropy's top 50 donors shows that they give to education more than the...
I wonder why. Oh, also, this is fun. Yeah, no shit they give to education, because that allows their children to also get into the same schools that you want them to get into.
Causes non-wealthy donors give to, like to health, a lot to religion, the environment, and international affairs.
That's gross. 27% goes to religion? Gross.
That could mean a billionaire giving $500 million to his alma mater for a new building on campus, or another giving $750 million in one single donation to charter schools in 20 U.S. cities.
Yeah, education, as in privatizing education in the form of charter schools so that public education, which oftentimes is still backed by like what remaining shred of power labor unions have, are eviscerated into oblivion, only creating the rift between the haves and have-nots and making it worse overall. Charter schools are, of course, not fucking protected by any kind of regulation and oftentimes closed. They're fucking dog shit. There's no curriculum standards. And for every one successful charter school, there's hundreds of examples of charter schools just shutting down one random Monday with, you know, with hundreds of children left behind. So, ooh, god damn, that's crazy. Oh my god, look at that, dude. That kind of educational donation is gross, dude. It's absolutely fucking disastrous.
A relatively small amount of money can have a great impact on a specific school district or a single charter school.
The top 50 donors are also more likely to give through a private foundation. Most of the people on the Forbes list have had their own private foundations, or they give to them. Here's how they work. Donors make large, charitable gifts to a foundation in the form of cash, assets, or stocks. In return, they get huge tax benefits immediately. But the foundation only has to give money to actual charities at a rate of 5% a year. That means money can stockpile in here, donors reap the tax benefits, while charities may only get a trickle over time. The Forbes list only counts this money that foundations have already given to charity, not the money parked here. Meanwhile, this money continues to enrich donors. There's another way billionaires donate that the Forbes list doesn't count at all: donor-advised funds, which are more secretive by design. These are charitable savings accounts that allow the donor to be anonymous and offer even bigger upfront tax benefits. More importantly, they have no reporting or payout requirements, so it's difficult to tell whether the money is going somewhere good or just lowering the donor's tax bill.
I mean, it is. It's lowering the donor's tax bill, and it's also lowering the donor's tax bill because the donor advice funds are fucking donating to the Federalist Society or donating to fucking Republican charities, Republican foundations that, or Democratic foundations, let's be real, that end up literally legalizing the lower tax bracket for them and ensuring that there is never any kind of fucking wealth tax, okay? No wealth tax whatsoever. So they're double dipping on the fucking tax benefits. One, it's a charitable donation and it gives you a tax break. And two, it's also lowering your tax bracket, or rather lowering the percentage of taxes that might ever implicate you or impact you in a meaningful way by you know, no capital earnings, no capital accumulation tax, no wealth tax whatsoever. It's just how it works. Elon did this with a $6 billion he said he would give to the UN to end world hunger.
Donor advice funds have been rising in popularity, meaning collectively they are housing billions of dollars yet to be paid out to charities. As of 2020, that figure was $160 billion. And the huge multi-billion-dollar endowments of foundations means they have a lot of power, like the Gates Foundation.
In terms of global public health, the Gates Foundation does get a lot of credit for their work in improving vaccine access for preventable diseases for very young children. Since they've been doing their work in this, child mortality rates, like infant mortality under 5, has gone down a lot.
Their foundation is also the largest private donor to the World Health Organization,
which tells you a lot about just how much agenda-setting power they have and what kinds of public health problems to prioritize. The biggest criticism is that it's undemocratic.
I'm surprised this video is not talking about my vast media power as like the most powerful man who owns Twitch, apparently, or has ownership stake in Twitch, similar to like Warren Buffett in numerous different industries, in numerous different companies, especially at the top of the hour when I serve you a 3-minute ad break, because Warren Buffett can't do that. I am the Warren Buffett of Twitch. I serve the top of the hour ad break, and I tell you at the top of the hour, if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free. There's nothing more apparent to me about like the Twitch horse blinders that I talk about regularly than the chatter unironically making the argument that I'm as powerful as Warren Buffett. I love that. I respect that. Personally, that's fire. Claims to be a socialist, owns a house, and runs the ad break. Yeah, that guy literally said Warren Buffett. Wow, I can't. Kind of flattering that you're that powerful in their world or freaking horrifying. I think it's more that he's just like crazy. That chatter is just like completely brain broken by Twitch. I don't think it's like horrifying per se. Anyway.
Enron executive John Arnold and his wife Laura have been advocating for reform of donor-advised funds by lobbying Congress to require them to distribute funds within 15 years, or for donors to only get a tax deduction upon distribution to charities. Others advocate to increase the payout requirements of foundations from 5% annually to 10%. These types of reforms are small fixes to the system, but if our country didn't have such dramatic wealth inequality, we wouldn't have to rely on the charitable whims of these billionaires to begin with.
That's a good take to end it on. It's true. Charity is an indication of systemic failure.